Did the prequels not live up to your expectations, and do you think you could have done better? Well, so do we. We're going to talk about that today on The Outer Rim. Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Outer Rim. I am James Thomas, and sitting with me again is Scott Furrier. Sorry if we haven't talked to you in a while. We actually did record a second episode all about the Acolyte, and it wasn't that good. I'll be honest with you. It was really spur of the moment. Scott over here hasn't even watched the Acolyte.
So I started to. I couldn't finish it.
We did not really have a lot to say. We were just trying to get an episode out while the topic was top of mind for everybody. And the holidays season just kind of got in the way of editing. So we didn't release that one.
We're busy bees. We have children, so
children, families, just everything.
Yes,
so that episode was not finished. It wasn't obviously released. Maybe in the future we'll launch a Patreon, and the lost episode of The Acolyte can be a perk if anybody is interested. But we're just going to jump into today's topic, which is one that I've been thinking about for quite a while. It is all about the prequels. And as we know, early on, there weren't a lot of fans of the prequels. And
I was a fan, so.
I mean, so was I. But
I was a defender. I defended the prequels.
The same, and I will still die on the hill that I think The Phantom Menace is the better of the three prequels. But that's not today's topic. But there's probably been a lot of people over the years that have thought long and hard about how they would have done the prequels different. And I am one of those people, despite how much I liked it. I am one of those people, and I've got a lot of thoughts about how I would have done them different. But I was also accused in the last episode of not letting Scott talk enough. So we're going to kick things off with how maybe Scott perceived the prequels and maybe some of the ideas that he has that he could have done differently had he been consulted.
Well, the thing is with me, though, is I haven't really thought too much about what I might have changed, though, to be honest. Maybe the only thing I could think of, with the Phantom Menace, maybe not have, fast-tracked Anakin to being almost grown so quickly. Maybe that's the only thing I could think of.
Really?
For me, because pretty much to me, I love the movies, and there's not a whole lot I would change. Maybe not killing Qui-Gon and keeping Darth Maul in the picture longer. Those are a few things. I mean, I don't have a whole lot in depth that I would say that I would could tell you that this is how the movie should have been done, but those are just a few things from the Phantom Menace I would have,
Well, I completely agree with all of those, except for maybe the one about Qui-Gon.
I mean, he could have died at some point, but not in the first movie.
Well, we've talked about it before. I don't know if we talked about it in an episode that was actually released. I think it might have been in our test pilot that we shot before actually releasing episode 1. But we talked about the character structure that I see as being a common theme across the three trilogies, with your hopeful optimist character, your wise old mentor character, your fighter, and your character that just kind of got pulled along inadvertently and didn't necessarily want to be there, but became part of the story. And
so who was that?
Well, in the original trilogy,
I'm saying in the new one, we already know who Han Solo didn't want to be the part of it. So
yeah,
Jar Jar? Jar Jar Binks was.
Jar Jar didn't really want to be there, no. But Jar Jar, Chewbacca, and Actually, I don't know if I don't think the sequel trilogy had an equivalent to Chewbacca or Jar Jar because Chewbacca was in the sequel trilogy. But Chewbacca and Jar Jar were kind of like the sidekick characters.
Yeah.
They went along for the ride no matter what. The character in the prequels that didn't necessarily want to be there was Anakin. He didn't start the story expecting to become part of something bigger. He helped these strangers that needed help and basically got kidnapped.
Yeah.
So he's taken away from his mother to go live a better life, and then kill a bunch of kids.
Oh my gosh. That kills me still now that I've said that. I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe I mean, would you change that? Would it be a good thing? Because it kind of like put a little more weight behind the story, unfortunately. But then if he didn't do that, you know, you're kind of.
I think that there's a different way we could have handled Anakin, and I'll talk about that as I reach that point in what I would have done differently. Because again, as much as I love the prequels, they're not perfect, and I think the story could have been told radically different, to better match how the original trilogy was structured and to tie things into that a little bit better. Are you done talking?
Oh yeah, I'm just listening.
You didn't have a lot of thoughts. Like I'm sitting there, I'm trying to give you the floor a little bit more because apparently I talked too much.
That's why I said I was like, you know, I don't. There's not a whole lot of change, but obviously there was a few things that came to my mind. I'm more interested to hear the story of what you think should have happened.
Well, most of what I would have done differently is going to be centered more on the Phantom Menace because I think that really sets the tone for the second and third ones. So the first thing that I would have done differently is I would not have had Anakin be a child. So going to your point about not having there be like a 10-year like age jump from episode 1 to episode 2, I completely agree with that.
The Padme and Anakin the relationship felt a little strange.
It did. And in the storyline, if you read the novelization, because obviously they don't tell you ages in the movie, but in the novelization, it's only a 4-year age difference. Anakin is 10 and Padme is 14. But because when the movie was filmed, Jake Lloyd was 9 and Natalie Portman was 16. When it was released, Natalie Portman was 18. And the character of Padme had a very mature tone to her. So it was very difficult to perceive her as being a 14-year-old, especially if you didn't know that she was a 14-year-old. So looking at this like roughly 16 to 18-year-old girl, as you like maybe picture her in your head, not necessarily knowing how old she was at the time, and then seeing like a little 9-year-old boy, the relationship seemed very, very weird.
It did, just from the way they looked. I mean, maybe he was a mature 9-year-old in his head. You know, I don't know. I thought I remember seeing the movie and thinking that, especially when you jumped to what was the second one called?
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. I was about to spit it out, but I remember when I first saw it, I was like, he grew fast, and like I don't know. It just seems I was off on it. I was kind of like, but I forgave it. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
I let it slide.
And obviously, once Hayden Christensen took over, you didn't really have a problem picturing them as a couple.
Yeah.
Because again, even though in the storyline, Padme's 4 years older than him, I think both actors were about 19 or 20 when they filmed Attack the Clones. So it seemed a little bit more natural at that point, and you kind of just let the whole little kid thing go after a while. But I would have just not even done that. I would have had Anakin be about 16, I would say.
He could have still been with his mom, obviously, too. So
and And so, like, I would have had him be more age equivalent to Padme, just so that you weren't sitting there thinking like, oh, that's kind of weird. Now, like, I just it's kind of like the silly thing with like Twilight. Like, why have the storyline where the adult werewolf falls in love with the newborn baby? Like, just don't do that.
It was different.
It's very simple. Just don't do it.
It was very strange. Maybe on paper you don't see it. You don't really see the way it. I don't know. That was strange to me too, though.
So yeah, I would have had Anakin be about 16, make the relationship with Padme seem a little bit more age appropriate, but also the racing angle. I get it. It's science fiction. It's a galaxy far, far away. Things don't have to work there the same way that they work here. But good science fiction has elements that you can still relate to.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get your mind to accept the more outlandish aspect, is that you still have to have grounded elements that you can relate to. So him being a pod racer didn't really feel right as a child. So I think minimum 16 years old would have made that a little more.
Could have been a prodigy, though. So I mean, that's obviously
a prodigy's not going to drive race cars here. So you shouldn't have one. You shouldn't have one racing there either. It's just it makes it harder to suspend the disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
And then by that same logic of having things that you relate to more in your mind to accept the fiction parts. Likewise, it seemed weird having Padme be an elected official at 14 years old.
Well, we don't know. We weren't there.
I know. And again, science fiction, different planet, different galaxy. Yeah. I get it. It doesn't have to be the way we do things here, but you do, in my opinion, need to suspend the disbelief. And like, it makes it easier when certain things are easier to accept. And like you're not going to elect a child to rule your planet. What you will do is have her take on that role as like a birthright.
Mm-hmm.
So have Naboo be a proper like monarchy. And maybe she's too young to rule. So you introduce the character of like C.O. Bibble or somebody as like the regent.
Yeah.
While she's still coming of age to be like the proper queen. So maybe she's the princess right now rather than the queen. Just something like that. Make it a monarchy and not a democracy.
Yeah.
And that would have made their ages feel a little bit more natural.
Yeah, I don't think George Lucas would have done that with the monarchy thing, because he kind of had like Western politics in mind when he was putting that stuff together. From what he said, I believe, I'm pretty sure I heard that from his mouth.
And like you still get the democracy part with the Republic. So not every planet in the Republic is their own democracy.
Yeah.
Like they've got royal families and stuff like that. So I think Naboo should have been a monarchy. If you were going to have like a child ruling it. Also, I wouldn't have done Naboo.
Why?
Because I would have done Alderaan. For a couple of different reasons. As much as I love Naboo, I think it's one of my favorite planets that came out of the prequels. But you had this prominent planet from the original trilogy, Alderaan, and you knew nothing about it. You never saw it on the surface, or you only ever saw it explode.
Yeah.
So I would have had the prequels take place on I would have had Amidala.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I wonder why they didn't, because it seems like it'd make more sense.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it though.
Like I would have had Amidala be the queen of Alderaan, or the rising queen. Like I said, you could have had like a king regent or somebody ruling in her stead while she was still a child. But I would have had her be the ruler of Alderaan, which would have made her daughter Leia being more properly the princess of Alderaan later.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, I would have done it where, because Bail Organa is supposed to be, is supposed to be like the king of Alderaan, or the head of the royal family, like however they did it there. I would have had him be kind of like betrothed to Amidala, which would make like his adoption of Leia eventually feel a little bit more natural as well.
Yeah.
It could have been perceived that Leia was his child. So I would have had him betrothed to Amidala, but it would have been like one of those arranged marriages. So she wouldn't have like loved Bail. He would have been a good person, but she wouldn't have loved him, which is why when Anakin eventually comes along, they kind of start a little scandalous fling.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely would have done Alderaan instead of Naboo. And I think that drama of, they meet Anakin, him and Padme immediately fall for each other. Their relationship kind of like gets started in episode 1 as opposed to waiting 10 years for episode 2. So that whole thing kind of gets started a little bit sooner, and like the sequence of events flows, I think, a little more naturally if things get started sooner rather than later.
Yeah, because whenever you pick up in Attack of the Clones, it was like he hadn't seen her for how many years?
10 years.
10 years, and he's like he thought about her every day or every night and all this,
and she didn't think about him at all.
Well, I mean, he was like a 9-year-old boy. I'm like, come on, why would she?
No, he'll always be that little boy she knew on Tatooine.
He's so big and strapping now, though. By the third one, he was very strapping.
Oh gosh. So what would my next thing be? I don't think the Trade Federation made like a ton of sense. It wasn't bad in the grand scheme of things, but like when you start looking at it in like under a microscope, like when they're in the Senate and Amidala is like pleading her case to the Senate, and then the representative from the Trade Federation comes down and he's like getting all up in arms. Why does the Trade Federation have a representative in the Senate? Like, the Senate is supposed to be made up of representatives of worlds.
Mm-hmm.
The Trade Federation, while being predominantly Nemoidian, isn't like a world. It's an organization. So why do they have a representative in the Senate? I think rather than the Trade Federation and the blockade and all this like geopolitical stuff, I would have just went straight into the Clone Wars. Like, the Separatists is like the group that they're fighting against on Alderaan. And I just would have got the Clone Wars started a little sooner and had that just be like the story arc of the 3, rather than episode 1 being kind of basically like this standalone movie to introduce characters, and then doing the Clone Wars as episodes 2 and 3 10 years later. I just would have made it like one big story.
Yeah, well, I mean, doing that though, I mean, what would that impeded on doing the show?
I don't think you needed the show.
I mean, they drug it out pretty well.
They did. So. and this could be a whole other episode talking about the cartoons of Star Wars, but I wasn't really a big fan of the Clone Wars show, and it actually
finished it, didn't you?
I did finish it finally. It took God, when did it come out?
It was
2007?
probably around that between
2000?
2007 2009 because
Yeah.
I couldn't I watched Star Wars obviously, but I think I was like always at work seemed like, and I just never.
I had so many false starts with Clone Wars. Like I tried watching it when it first aired on TV. I only got a few episodes into it. I tried watching it when it was like streaming on Netflix at one point early on. I only got a few episodes into it. It wasn't until just very recently, like maybe a few months ago, I made myself sit down and watch it. I was doing a rewatch of Star Wars and I was trying to watch everything in its like proper chronological story driven order. So I watched episode 1, I watched episode 2, and before I watched episode 3, I watched all of Clone Wars. And I made myself commit to watching it, and God, it was a struggle. Like I did not gravitate to that as much as I have other things. Like I think they drug it out 7 seasons or 8 seasons, however long it was. It was way too much. It actually contradicted a lot of things that they set up in episode 3.
I'll say I haven't finished it, so I've watched clips of Clone Wars of people talking about it, and I started the first season 18 times. I don't know how many times I've started it, but before that, before I even seen that, the first thing that introduced me to that show was that it was kind of like a movie they did with Jabba's.
Yeah. It was basically the pilot of it was like a 2-hour pilot basically of the show.
I watched it and I was just kind of like yeah, and I never really got into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's super drug out, and it just made for a lot of contradictions going into episode 3, like when Obi-Wan and Anakin are confronting Count Dooku to rescue the Chancellor. Obi-Wan's like, now this time let's do it together, because Anakin like charged and tried to fight Count Dooku on his own in episode 2 and got his butt kicked. So like you kind of get the impression that they haven't seen him since the events of Attack of the Clones. They fought him like 20 times in Clone Wars, like them specifically, not just in battle, like lightsaber dueled. They like 20 times they fought. And then General Grievous, Anakin's like, General Grievous, you're shorter than I imagined. But again, like they encountered him and fought him many times in the Clone Wars. They're like that was not the first time that they met General Grievous in episode 3. Like Clone Wars will have you believe that they fought him many times. There was a lot of contradictions in that show. I don't think it was necessary.
Well, that's the problem. Whenever you have that many episodes of something like that, you're going to have. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. Maybe they did like 1 or 2 seasons. They probably wouldn't have that problem. But
yeah, I mean, the Disney stuff is being a little more conservative so that they don't tread too heavily on continuity. Like Andor, I think I read, was supposed to be like a 4 or 5 season show initially in its conception, but they wrapped it up in 2 seasons because they didn't want to drag it out and risk having things come up that got people saying like, oh yeah, you can't have that happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to how I would have done, let's say episode 1.
Trade Federation.
Yeah. So instead of the Trade Federation, I would have just focused more on the Separatists. I think that's a storyline that they could have just gone straight into, and then maybe the Separatists took over Alderaan and occupied it. So Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon go in, they rescue Amidala and Bail, let's say, or maybe they have to leave Bail behind. Maybe they're only able to get Amidala off. Because if you think like if Amidala is like the rising queen, then Bail wouldn't necessarily be king yet. It would be like it would be more like a relationship that like Queen Elizabeth had with like Prince Philip. So Prince Philip was never king. He just married the queen. So maybe they don't rescue Bale. Maybe he stays behind, and they entrust him to watch over the people of Alderaan while they get Amidala safe, and then they have to stop and refuel at Tatooine, just like they did. And then that inevitably brings Anakin into the storyline. And then from that point on, like how they handled Anakin, the pod race, and everything, that was all fine. Like I wouldn't change that at all. I loved the pod race. I just would have made him older.
Made for a good game too.
It did.
A Star Wars pod racer.
And I'm excited for Galactic Racer coming out sometime this year.
I haven't seen that.
It's a new racing game. It's going to be on PS5 and Xbox. And it takes place after Return of the Jedi. Because I guess, and I never really thought too much into this, but apparently the Empire like bans pod racing. So after Return of the Jedi, when the Empire falls, the storyline is that they bring pod racing back, and like one of the main characters is Sebulba, older with a Fu Manchu beard now.
Yeah.
Trying to get his pod racing career back.
Hey, you gotta come out of retirement sometimes.
But yeah, I wouldn't have changed the pod race. I think that whole situation, like the ship being damaged, them needing the parts, Anakin being a slave, needing to get the parts from Watto, like all of that, I think works perfectly. And then Qui-Gon recognizing that Anakin is force sensitive because of how he can maneuver the pods and everything, wouldn't change that at all. Just make him older. So then, Anakin joins the fight. They go to Coruscant, pleads her case to the Senate. All of that's fine. I don't think I would have had Palpatine be from like the same planet as Amidala. So I would not have had him be like the senator of Naboo, or in this case, in my version, he wouldn't have been the senator of Alderaan. He would have had zero connection to the planet. And the reason I say that is because when they go to vote for the new chancellor, again, I wouldn't change this part at all. This was actually like really good stuff. The whole vote of no confidence, the political aspect. I think that part was solid. Wouldn't change it. Palpatine should have been immediately disqualified from contention for chancellor because he was at the heart of the conflict for which this vote was happening. Amidala is not happy with Chancellor Valorum's stance on handling the blockade of her planet. She goes for the vote of no confidence. They want a new chancellor that will handle this situation. Palpatine should have been withdrawn from contention as a conflict of interest. So I would have not had him be the representative. I would have not had him be the representative. I would have had him be like a strong ally, like the senator of another world who's like an ally of Alderaan or Naboo, whatever. And then he could have been considered for chancellor.
Yeah, you put way more thought into that than I did.
I've been thinking about this for 25 years.
I was like, yeah, I don't think I ever thought about that, to be honest. I went with the flow on
I have been thinking about this for 25 years.
My little brain doesn't work that long. It quit 20-something years ago.
So then, vote for the new chancellor, go back to the planet, free the people, all that's well and good. Lay the seeds for the Clone Wars. I would not bring the clones in until episode 2 like they did. But lay the seeds for the Clone Wars a little bit more. Don't have it be like this one and done battle where you think everything's over and then 10 years later something new starts. Like, have a fight with the Separatists, win the fight, free Alderaan, get things brewing for the Clone Wars, but don't actually bring the clones in until the next episode. As for Qui-Gon, I think I'm back and forth on Qui-Gon. There's two ways that I would approach that. One is don't change anything at all. Have him be like the wise old mentor, like he is. Have him take an interest in Anakin, and then have him die, because that's what the wise old mentor does. They die in the first movie. Obi-Wan died in Episode 4. Han Solo, who yes was the wise old mentor in The Force Awakens, he takes an interest in Rey. He's teaching her about the Falcon and all that good stuff. He's the wise old mentor in Episode 7. Dies. It's the way the story arcs are structured. So have him be the wise old mentor. Have him die. Obi-Wan kind of reluctantly steps in and takes over the training. That's one way to do it. What I would have done differently in that scenario is not have Qui-Gon be Obi-Wan's master. I would have had them just be like partners. And the reason for that is because Obi-Wan's master is supposed to be Yoda. Like he says it in Empire Strikes Back.
There you will learn from Yoda, the Jedi Master who instructed me. Was I any different when you taught me?
It just convolutes the story. And I know if you go back and like you read some of the other books, like there was like a chapter book series called Jedi Apprentice, and it tells the story of like 13-year-old Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you find out that like Yoda was his master at the temple prior to becoming Qui-Gon's apprentice. So like in the Jedi training, like you've got your youngling phase. You're taught by different. It's basically like school. You have different teachers, and then when you reach a certain age, you go off on your apprenticeship. So that kind of fixed things a little bit, where like Yoda was one of Obi-Wan's teachers, and then when he reached apprentice age, he gets picked up by Qui-Gon.
Well, I mean, they kind of showed Yoda working with the younglings too.
Yeah. So I mean, that's fine, but if you want the master and apprentice relationship, I would have had Yoda be Obi-Wan's proper master. So Qui-Gon, rather than being Obi-Wan's master, would have been like his partner. Like Obi-Wan maybe should have just started Episode 1 outright as a Jedi Knight, not be the Padawan learner, because Lord knows that was a hard word to say when you're my age and all this stuff was coming out. Just have him be a Jedi Knight. Qui-Gon's his partner. They're like buddy cops, and then he gets killed. Like I think that's a pretty solid way to.
That's subtle change. It wouldn't be too. I could handle it.
Another thing that I thought of is maybe Obi-Wan starts things out as the master. Maybe Qui-Gon is his apprentice. So make Qui-Gon younger. Maybe he's like the headstrong, ready to jump into the fight type, and Obi-Wan's like, the calmer, more like, no, you're too aggressive. You gotta rein it in, be mindful. And maybe he's that kind of character, but Qui-Gon's just too aggressive, gets himself killed. Obi-Wan blames himself. He's reluctant to take on another apprentice, but Anakin shows too much promise. So he kind of like reluctantly starts to train Anakin, but feels that he failed Qui-Gon, and maybe that goes into his training of Anakin, and that's why Anakin falls so easily. Like maybe Obi-Wan just felt like he failed too many times as a teacher. I think there's a drama there that they could play with.
Well, I mean, they had a little drama. You felt the drama between them two a little bit, and the way the Jedi Council did Anakin through him anyways, So, I mean, I don't know. I definitely I felt bad every time I've watched his interactions with Obi-Wan after he got declined from the council. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Where was that?
I mean, sometimes we're just talking out of our butts here, and we lose track of our thoughts very easally.
Yeah, definitely.
As you would maybe one day see in some of our unrelleased material.
Especially
But
when alcohol's involved.
yeah,
or something.
yeah, we drank during our test pilot that we
That was not a good idea.
No, that was a horrible plan. But yeah, so that's what I would have done differently with episode 1. I think those are all
Nothing with Darth Maul.
Well, Darth Maul, yeah. Thank you. I would have had Darth Maul live.
He did kind of live though. Clone Wars brought him back.
I'm not a fan of that.
I don't think he knew that character was going to be as popular as it ended up being.
Yeah, and
what happened?
And it's kind of like with Boba Fett. When they introduced Boba Fett, nobody really thought that he was going to be as mysterious and stuff as he did, which is why George had no problems killing him off so easily in Return of the Jedi. But the expanded universe really brought Boba Fett's popularity up. And I remember seeing an interview one time where George Lucas was like, yeah, I mean, I approved the Boba Fett coming back in the novels and in the comics, but in my mind, he died in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Like he's dead as far as I'm concerned.
We can't let anything go.
So it's the same thing with Darth Maul. Like, yeah, I mean, George wrote the character to be a one and done, but he was this cool, mysterious character. And like, yeah, he came back in Clone Wars. I'm not a fan of that. I would have just left well enough alone in that respect. But on the topic of doing things differently in the prequels, I would have had Darth Maul live. Fail, yes, but I would have had him live. I would have had him be smarter.
Yeah.
Like I would have had him be Clone Wars level smart. Because you do see in the Clone Wars, he's a lot more tactical than what you get in Phantom Menace. In Phantom Menace, he's like a grunt. He's a blunt instrument that is directed.
I forgot what it was. He was more of the overconfident, kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
I think is what he was supposed to be like.
So yeah, I would have had him fail for sure, like kill Qui-Gon, fail at the hands of Obi-Wan, but I would have had him live. And then I would have had him be the Count Dooku character in episode 2. I would have had him take more of a center stage as a villain and be the leader of the Separatist army. Because I don't love the Count Dooku character.
See, I do. That's when I was like,
well, take the floor, Scott.
Well, I'm not saying I have any ideas for it, but I'm just saying I think there could have been a little more in depth of Qui-Gon, Count Dooku, because he had been a Jedi before.
Yeah.
So I mean, but they didn't really allude to a lot of it. So you could still have Darth Maul live and have him have more of he's battling. He's having that turn, I guess, maybe to the dark side, but not quite yet. I mean, there's got to be some battles or something. I don't think we should get rid of the character altogether if you're going to do something like that.
One of the reasons why I say Darth Maul and Count Dooku should have been one and the same is the way Count Dooku gets killed off at the end or at the beginning of episode 3. For one, you didn't get to spend a lot of time with this character in the movies. He shows up at the end of episode 2. He's killed off at the beginning of episode 3. If you don't read the books or watch the Clone Wars, then you don't really get a ton of time with the Count Dooku character. But when Anakin has him like sabered up in episode 3 and Chancellor Palpatine's over there like, kill him now. And like Dooku just kind of looks over like, what the fuck, dude?
I don't think he knew that was coming. He didn't. Obviously,
he didn't. He that look of betrayal in his face was like immediate. I think that would have held a lot more dramatic weight if it was Darth Maul.
I don't think he could have got Darth Maul to be still like that though.
That's if he was beaten,
seeing Dooku in the position he was in, he knew in his mind the Emperor or Palpatine wasn't going to be like kill him. I don't think that was in his mind. Because if anything, if he's as good as he was, he could have done like a force push or something.
I mean,
and Darth Maul was too an aggressive person as a Sith. And I don't see it happening.
Well, I mean, if they portrayed the character a little differently, if they made him a little wiser and more tactical, like if you took the character traits of Count Dooku and applied them to Darth Maul, I think it could have worked.
Yeah, man, I don't know that. Like just seeing that scene with Darth Maul in that position, I just can't. I don't know. I don't see it playing the same. Knowing what I know now, obviously, but so it's hard to see.
Yeah. But yeah, I think those are the main points that I would have done differently with the prequels. There's not a lot that I would have done differently in episode 2. Like nothing that wouldn't have changed naturally from the changes that you implement with
I think they could have cut out a lot of that when Obi-Wan went to the clones.
See, I enjoyed that part of the movie. I liked that he was being like space detective.
And you got Jango out of it, I guess. But I don't know, it felt kind of boring.
They introduced too many characters. Like the character of Zam Wessel, I think was like why was she there? Like she was a cool looking character, but you dropped in this other bounty hunter. Like first of all, Jango was already a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And it's not like he needed to do the subcontracting because nobody was after him. Nobody knew about him. Nobody had a reason to make the connection to him and the clones. It was actually him killing Zam Wessel that put him on the radar.
I mean, he's looked like he was living a pretty good life too, like where he was at.
Yeah. So like I wouldn't have introduced Zam Wessel. Dexter, the diner owner, he served a purpose. So I could take or leave that scene. I think there's other ways that Obi-Wan could have found Kamino. There was too many characters introduced, I think, in episode 2 that didn't get enough screen time. Like not to mention Count Dooku. Like you had a lot of characters dropped into episode 2. You didn't get to spend a lot of time with any of them.
Yeah. That's the one thing about the Clone Wars episode or movie. It just always kind of feels like it's in the back part of my brain a lot of the time. Like Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. Just really, I remember those really well.
Yeah.
But if you were like, give me a play-by-play of the Clone Wars, I don't think I could do it.
No. We can maybe do an episode about the Clone Wars and Rebels and the Bad Batch and all that stuff. I love Rebels. I just finished watching Rebels all the way through again. Just last night I finished it. And I love the Bad Batch. I didn't think I was
watch it. I tried watching it.
I didn't.
Jess is like,
I didn't think I was going to love the Bad. Like I put off watching the Bad Batch because I didn't think I was going to care.
Yeah.
But it was so good, so good. Yeah, and then like kind of circling back to the whole relationship between Anakin, Padme, and Bail. Like I would have had that be like a love triangle. And obviously Anakin and Padme start their like kind of like secret relationship. He fathers the kids, and when it comes time to split them up, obviously like Luke goes to Tatooine, Leia goes to Alderaan. I think if Padme was the queen of Alderaan, her Leia being the princess would have made more sense. Bail again doesn't need to be a bad guy. Like it's not like one of those things where like, oh, Bail's a butthole, so I'm gonna fall in love with Anakin. Like it could just simply be that it was an arranged marriage and she didn't love him, but Bail is a good guy and he raises Leia as his daughter. I wouldn't have killed Padme because Leia is supposed to have vague memories of Padme.
The way they killed her too, a little bit was kind of like
because she was sad.
Love.
She was sad. She was too sad to keep living.
I mean, was that? I don't know. That just in my mind. Like even watching it for the first. I mean, like you said, these movies, they have some faults, and I think that's one of them. Where when she died, I was kind of like, what'd she die from?
She died of a broken heart.
Yeah.
But no, I would have had her live, and she would have just continued living with Bale, and like, yeah, she would have died eventually.
Ooh, you think about keeping that going, and then Darth Vader finds out, and then he's like a little jealousy, you know?
I mean, there's probably stuff that
like
there's probably stuff that you could do like in the areas between episode 3 and 4 that like, yeah, maybe Darth Vader is the one that eventually kills Padme.
like Darth Vader in like the comics and stuff, he's pretty brutal. You know?
He's brutal in everything except the original trilogy.
Yeah, it's like
I saw that meme recently where like it says Darth Vader in the original trilogy, and it's a picture of a cute little puppy.
Yeah,
and then and then Darth Vader in literally everything else is a rabid wolf.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's good. Like the comics are good. Like even the newer Marvel comics that they did, that Darth Vader run. I didn't read all of them. I've watched videos of people reading them and telling the story of whatever breakdowns of them, and they're always seem really really good.
Yeah, so. But no, that's actually a good point. Like, because I would have had Padme live, but maybe there's a storyline in between episodes 3 and 4 where Darth Vader does kill Padme out of jealousy for her continuing to be married to Bale.
Because that's one thing about the movies I really think we probably won't get is really seeing Darth Vader in action and like really like in the really focused on him, Darth Vader, not Anakin.
Yeah, well,
we just don't.
Hayden Christensen has said that he would love to do like a Darth Vader series on Disney Plus, and I don't know if that's necessary.
I would take it.
I would take it. And I actually thought like a good angle to have, because you can't. It's hard in my opinion to have a series focused on the bad guy, unless the bad guy has elements of being good. So I would focus on the angle that he's still good at his core, and then maybe there's when he goes into like his regenerative chamber, like he does in the original trilogy. Maybe when he goes into there and he's like, he's using the Force to heal his body, which in case you didn't know, that's what he's doing. When he's in his chamber in The Empire Strikes Back, it's like a sensory deprivation chamber.
Well, he's constantly being tortured in that suit. That's the way the Emperor kind of screwed him over with that. They make him obviously they keep him angry. He can't breathe. He just didn't fix anything.
But when he's in that chamber, what he's doing is he's using the Force to try and heal his body. It's in Shadows of the Empire in good detail. Like there's elements where like he starts to see like his scars go away, and it makes him happy. He smiles, but because he smiles, the dark side brings the scars back. So when if they did a Darth Vader show, like when he's in that tank, I would have him actually talk to like a Force apparition of good Anakin.
Yeah.
And it would be Anakin just kind of like pacing around him, like, is this who you wanted to be?
Yeah.
Like, are you satisfied with the choices that you've made?
I mean, that could be like constantly on him, like just through the show, whatever they did. It would be like something he battles with all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes he would get go in a fit of rage because he's so angry at himself. He takes it out on whatever's in his surrounding or people or his new little trainee that he has, like he did in the video game with Star Killer and all that.
But yeah, I don't know if we need a Darth Vader show, but I would take it, and there's things that you can do with it.
Just one season is all we need.
Yeah.
Like one season, 8 episodes. This is a story of Darth Vader when he was going against the Emperor behind his back and doing. I don't know if they're doing if he's going to have another a Sith to train or something like that, because that's kind of been done to death in the games
Not
and the
in
books
canon.
and the comics.
Not in canon.
Well, I'm just saying for people that watch. I mean, I would take it just so I could see it visually and see Darth Vader doing what he does.
Yeah.
I would be pretty excited. So
yeah. The last thing that I would probably have done differently in the prequels is I liked the character of General Grievous. I don't think you focused on him in the correct aspect. I would have really approached that character more directly as a prototype to Darth Vader, which is kind of what you get if you read the novels.
Yeah, I've heard that.
If you read Labyrinth of Evil, that's a book that really shines like a particularly heavy light on General Grievous. Because if you were a good Star Wars fan, like I tried to be, you read the books before the movies came out. So like I read The Approaching Storm before Episode 2 came out. I read Labyrinth of Evil before Episode 3 came out. So I was introduced to the character of General Grievous before the movie, and they talk about how like he was fatally injured in like a shuttle crash, and Sidious finds him and he saves his life by making him a cyborg. Like there's definitely seeds there of him being a Darth Vader prototype that I don't think they focused on enough.
No, but you kind of got little. I mean, not hints, but you could kind of see. I could see it like whenever he got killed. He had like a heart. He had eyes. He had some parts of living tissue in there.
And I mean, the elements were all there, and I guess in the editing process they left it up to the audience to kind of like notice those things. But like I think they really should have approached that a little more directly. To kind of lend a little bit more weight to Anakin eventually becoming a cyborg.
Yes, indeed.
But that's really all. That's all I would change about the prequels. Again, like I love the prequels. I think as we got them, they are still really good movies. The visual effects are kind of becoming a little harder to sit with 25 years later.
Somebody said something in the comments of that one video of what was it?
We were talking about how they shot
the effects.
About how they shot episodes 2 and 3 like almost entirely on blue screen.
Yeah, they were, but
yeah,
they were like. I'm not trying to argue with anybody, but he did say that there were practical effects.
There were practical effects in episode 1, and that's one of the reasons why I favor episode 1 over 2 and 3, because episode 1 felt like a Star Wars movie, and one of the reasons why it felt like a Star Wars movie was because the effects and the sets and stuff were still for the most part practical.
Because you watch the making of like Revenge of the Sith, it's a lot of just green screen and. Even in the whenever Padme and Anakin are I don't know if it's the courthouse or wherever they're at,
the Senate building.
Was it that? Is it probably that? I can't remember. But you watch the making of it and it's just all green screen and they're but I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a bit of a departure there.
Like it's how George wanted to shoot those, because again, like at his core, George challenges the norms of traditional filmmaking, and he tries to push technology. He tries to push narrative, do things that people haven't done before. And so, like, for better or for worse, it was innovative filmmaking at the time, and of course now by today's standards that approach is better because you're able to make the graphics look a little bit more real. Some people have gone back to building practical sets, like Disney Star Wars, I think I said it in the last video, has nailed the aesthetic of the lived-in Star Wars universe, and part of the reason is they build sets.
Yeah.
They're not shooting entirely on green screen anymore. They build sets. Like Andor was shot almost entirely on physical location.
Yeah, Mandalorian looked good. I don't know if it was all practical, but it's I thought it felt like Star Wars.
Yeah.
So Force Awakens felt like Star Wars too, but the movie just wasn't.
No, I mean, Force Awakens is great. By itself is a great movie.
We'll say The Force Awakens was a good movie.
It's pretty great. Because I had zero arguments with The Force Awakens, but we'll get into that in part 2 of this video.
What would you change about whatever Disney did, Disney Star Wars?
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about that before, though.
Let us know in the comments, what would you guys have done differently with the prequels? And stay tuned, because episode 2B, we'll talk about what we would have done differently with the sequels. So thank you for joining us. Welcome back and Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time on The Outer Rim.
Later.